Happy Friday, Badger fans. We're going to talk about if you should have more confidence in the basketball or football team right now. What are your thoughts? Plus, some things you should know if you're a Badger fan, but maybe not if you're not a Badger fan. It's next on Locked On Badgers.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is good, Badger fam? Welcome to Locked On Badgers Friday Night Community Edition. Join us, talk, let's chop it up wherever you want to go with the convo. That's what these Friday night shows are for. I usually advertise it a little bit better, but I've been kind of busy today. But if you do want to call in, that link's in the chat as well. But I got some fun stuff to put out there anyway, so I thank everybody for tuning in. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Create an account. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms to apply. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's game time, baby. All right. Already some people in the chat, which I really appreciate. Will Hanna. Will is here. We got a couple different Adams. There's only room for one Adam, as we mentioned in the chat. We got Mitchell Lee. We got a couple other people in here. Mr. October. Hoogs is a good dude, man. He says, sup, boys. Pavel's in here. Jordan. I want to do this. I want to start with, who do you have more confidence in right now? Badger basketball or Badger football? Put that in the chat, and we're going to get to that later. Because I want to get to this. So on Twitter the other day, because there's just so much, ultimately, like, what binds Badger fans together? What binds any fan base together? It's like the collective sinew of everything that's happened. It's the inside jokes. It's the camaraderie. It's the wins, the losses, the shared history, the shared pain, the shared frustration, the shared joy. And I put it out on Twitter. What are some things you could walk into a room and tell a Badger fan that they would get right away and nobody else in the room would probably get? What are those inside little snippets that only Badger fans know? I said, put it on Twitter. I'm going to throw those up on the show today. I'm curious how many of you know what these are, because I didn't know every single one of them. And it's also just kind of a fun trip down memory lane. So we're going to do that first, and then we're going to get into what do you have more confidence in, Badger basketball, football, and I'll get all your comments wherever you want to take the show today. It is the community show. So these are the tweets we got in response to those inside jokes, those inside things that only Badger fans know. And we'll just go in order here. JMP responded with turnover chain. My effing, I can't say all that on the channel. But yeah, like if you walked into a room and said that, nobody would get it, and every Badger fan would. That's Paul Christ at his finest. That's definitely one I know. That is just like peak Paul Christ, right? Well, not about anything flashy. He doesn't care about the turnover chain. He's going to bury your face in the dirt with 7 tight ends and 3 running backs. F you, Miami. That's peak Paul Christ. That's peak Wisconsin right there. I absolutely love that one. That was a great one from JMP. Triple nines, quad nines there. Sean Quixote, Jazz caught it. Yes. Y'all remember that game? First of all, like the history of Northwestern and the silliness of playing them. And then you have that play where Jazz catches it in the end zone. I felt like he rolled around and did a Sudoku, and then he like let go of the ball because, yeah, the play's over. The refs review it, take it off the board. You end up losing that game. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, that's a good one, too, from Sean Quixote. Again, if you have any comments on these, Timothy Baum says, how do you manage to never slip up and not drop an F-bomb is impressive. It is, because I swear in real life. White Marlin, who, well, that's a good dude, man. Jez had like 5 steps a day. White Marlin's up in the Hayward area now, I believe. Up in my neck of the woods. Brian Axness, Jazz caught it. Yep. Oh, this is a good one from Hooger, man, from Nigel Hayes. If you remember the press conference, oh, did you hear that? When they were talking and like the audio picked up their conversations, right? And they were talking about, oh, that girl's really cute. I love that team. That team was so wholesome, man. That team was everything. Robert Sorson, this one actually wasn't put in Twitter. This is a great one. Stave's knee was down. Where were you in Arizona State? Wisconsin goes out there. Gary Anderson. Stave takes the knee. We're about to kick a field goal to win the friggin' game. And he like puts the ball down. An Arizona State player just like flops on top of it. The refs doesn't know what's going on. They look like refs from a strike that crossed a strike line or something. They never see football. That was absurd. That's a great one, man. That's an absolute great one. Adam Pettis, FASU. Yep. Oh my goodness. Those That one was painful. All right, let's get into a couple more. Like, these are great. Like, these are just, and honestly, we can talk about the board all the time, but sometimes you need to change it up. We're going to talk a little basketball today. We're going to do this. We're going to just remember, like, the tie that binds us being Badger fans together, right? And what better way to spend a Friday evening? I got an IPA right here. What's the next one we got here? This is from Laura in the 608. We scored first. So I'm not 100% sure on this one. I didn't look any of these up because, like, it's totally cool if I don't know every one of them. I think this is in reference to the Alabama or like Miami game, like a long time ago where they were really good. They came into Camp Randall and we scored 3 points and then they like blew us out. Tell me if I'm wrong on that one. I think that's what that's in reference to. I'll monitor the chat there. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong on that one or not. I don't fully get that one. Okay, Timothy Palm says we scored first versus Miami in like 1987. I think that makes sense to me. That one checks with me. Let's get the next one. This is great, and I appreciate everybody for bringing these up on Twitter. All right, the next one here is from Goldie. The worst team to ever play in the Rose Bowl. That was in reference to that comment that Wisconsin Badgers would be the worst team to ever play in the Rose Bowl. And then they obviously end up beating UCLA. And they're like, well, and Barry had that. Barry was the king of snark. Barry would have thrived in the social media era because everything he said was quotable. He would have been incredible, right, in this era of college football where there's memes. I'm going to start memeing some of what he said because after they beat UCLA, he's like, well, maybe we're the second worst team to ever play in the Rose Bowl. I forget exactly what he said, but yeah. Barry was absolutely the man. Next one up. Matt Chiller's got 2. The Dairy Raid. Yep. No one else is going to know what that is. Badger fans sadly know. 3-sack Jack. That's a great one. The USC game. Jack Stitchie gets sack. That was in that Aranda defense. All of them right up the middle, if I remember correctly. The first one was just like, it was schemed pressure, and then Stitchie was just a monster at knifing through. 3 sacks back to back to back. 3-sack Jack. One of my fondest memories there. Brendan Harrison works with Badgers basketball, 38-1. That's a great one too. That's a great one. Where were you when the Badgers knocked off 38-0 Kentucky? Right. And I also want to give props to Brandon, who made an announcement. He's going to be moving on. Let me tell you, Brandon's one of the nicest, best people I've worked with in the UW athletic department. He's going to crush it wherever he goes. I'm sad to see him moving on. But yeah, 38-1, beating that Kentucky team. That was unbelievable. Maybe my favorite Badgers basketball game I've ever seen, that I've ever been able to appreciate. That one was absolutely awesome. Come over here. Oh, Carson Merton says Chris Chiozza. Yeah, that's a tough one. I was in an apartment when that happened. Where were you guys when that one happened? I was in an apartment and I let out an audible scream. And I just was so frustrated. So frustrated. Robert Sorensen says, love 3-sack Jack. Yeah, that was an iconic. Jackson Taylor, hang on to the Duke's Mayo Bowl trophy. That's a good one too. I don't think that one made the Twitter list either. And I couldn't even fit all the Twitter mentions into it because we had like 60 comments. But yeah, dropping the Duke's Mayo Bowl, which is the most ridiculous like trophy anyway, ridiculous type of bowl. Graham Mertz is dancing like in the locker room, drops the trophy, it breaks. Honestly, that was like a bit of a foreshadowing for what was coming for Badger fandom, right? Dropping that trophy, having it broken, it felt like the bow was starting to break on the ship a little bit. All right, let's take a quick break there, because I got about halfway through. We got another half to get to. Then we're going to get into some basketball versus football thoughts and your comments again. It's a community show. This one's just to have fun. It's not to. We need to not talk portal for a second, although we certainly can if you guys want to, because this is the community show. But we're going to come back. We're going to get into 408 coming up next, plus a bunch more of these. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our incredible, as always, friends of the show. And a quick second, as always, to say thank you for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by Rocket Money. If you're anything like me, you spend too much money and you don't always know where it goes. Hopefully you're not anything like me. Well, hopefully you're kind of like me in some ways, but mostly not, because you're probably living a better life with more financial security. Rocket Money's here to help you find your subscriptions that you forgot about or you're paying for twice. That definitely happens to me. That's on the ad script, but that's also literally happening to me all the time. Like, I need to get better at that. That's what Rocket Money helps us do. Rocket Money has literally found stuff that we can get rid of, that I've forgotten about, that I've signed up for. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I need that DVD return program. Or, oh yeah, I need a monthly subscription to a man box that delivers things that I don't need because I'm not actually living in a cabin in the woods. We should probably cancel that. Rocket Money is the personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one space. Thank goodness for that. And it is simple. Saved over $500 million in canceled subscriptions for members, up to $740 a year. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions. Reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/locked-on today. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Today's episode also brought to you by our incredible friends over at Gametime. You're not going to find a better place to buy a ticket. You're not. I'm telling you. If you trusted me on my Graham Mertz takes, trust me on my Gametime takes. You're not going to find a better place to buy a ticket. If you trusted me on my John Pius takes, trust me on my Gametime takes. You're not going to find a better place to buy a ticket. It is the ultimate spot for all your ticketing needs, entertainment needs, concerts, theater, sporting events, whatever it is. Plus, you get panoramic views of the seats. I was doing this the other day. Like, you can see exactly where you're going to sit, look around. That's what Gametime does. That's what the app does. It allows you to figure out where you're going to sit, what's around your seats, so you're in the perfect spot to enjoy whatever type of entertainment you want. Head over to Gametime today. Snake the things without the stress over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. All right, let's keep going here because we got a bunch more of these little fan things that, what does it mean to be a Badger fan? Let's get into the next one. I love this one from Maxwell Brusky, the great Maxwell Brusky, if you know that name. Hold on, let me find where I'm at. Here we go. 408 with the exclamation points between it. That's the Melvin Gordon game, and nobody's going to beat LePay on that call. Like, the way he said it, the gravitas behind it, the snow is falling. It's a Camp Randall night game. Bruh. I get chills on that one, man. I get absolutely chills on that one. Robert Sorensen, 20 to 21 completions, Graham Mertz. Yeah, that's a really, really good one too. Brazilian bomber, Rafael Gaglione, Andrew Speed. When he did a little shimmy, like he hits the kick and he does this little like hip dance. Yeah, that's peak. That's peak kicking game right there. Absolutely love it. All right, let's go a couple more here. Again, we got a ton of these, and I really appreciate everybody submitting them. This is a lot of fun. Just it's fun for me. Hopefully, you guys enjoy it too. It's fun for me just to kind of go down the memory lane. Goes to Paul Christ. Says the barge formation. You want to talk about peak Wisconsin? You want to talk about putting some beef on the offensive line? Yeah, the barge was incredible. There was a funny GIF that was going around online where they like expanded and they added like 17 offensive linemen to exaggerate the impact. But yeah, that was a good one too. Alex Grishner says Barry's grandson. How many times did you see Jake Ferguson catch a pass and the announcers are, that's Barry's grandson there? 3 or 4 times a game? Did you hear that more, or Brad Davison used to be a quarterback? Which one did you hear more there? Probably equally. Yeah. Next one up, Old Badgers, the bounce pass. So again, a little before my time. I don't remember who the quarterback was. I believe the receiver was Altoon. Am I crazy on that? So if you're younger and you don't know what this is, I've seen a couple of clips of it. Like, I would love. It's such a unique play in football, where you get the snap, you throw it, it bounces off the ground behind the line of scrimmage, so it's a live pass, right? Or basically a handoff, and you pick it up off the bounds and you run with it. I'm probably not describing this very well. Somebody in the comments, if you saw that live or if you remember who the quarterback was, let me know. Yeah, there's a couple more in here I want to start because you guys are bringing up other really good ones. Brian Axon, LePay is great. Yeah, LePay is absolutely great. Ryan Arnold, 4.8, unfortunately lasted a week. That is true. If Melvin had played that fourth quarter against Nebraska, Melvin would have had 500 yards. It would have been, and maybe he wins the Heisman then. Well, he probably doesn't because Melvin Gordon got robbed. But that would have been absolutely incredible. Robert Sorensen says, which one of Barry's grandsons don't disrespect Joe? That is fair. Joe Ferguson, also Barry's grandson, had a pick six, right? Am I crazy? Joe Ferguson had like a 90-yard pick six. I think it took him a minute from when he caught it to get to the end zone. But he had a pick six. You're right. I don't want to disrespect Joe Ferguson there. All right, let's get a couple more. We got a few more here. This is from Bill Woj. What a catch at the 6. Duckworth, Michigan State title game, Big Ten title game from Russell Wilson. Duckworth between two guys. They win 42-39 that game. Avenge the earlier loss to Michigan State that year. Yeah, Duckworth should never have to buy a drink in the state of Wisconsin. Scott Hettenberg, chair leg in the eye socket. So this one I know, I'm not going to describe it on the show. It is if you know this one, you'll know why I'm not describing it on the show. Yeah, but that is definitely a deep pull from Badger fandom there. Number 12, Brett Maxwell. MG3 got robbed. Melvin got robbed the Heisman year. Yes. And here's the thing. He didn't get robbed necessarily because he didn't win. Marcus Mariota, the Oregon quarterback, had an incredible season that year. Where Melvin got robbed was the disparity between 1 and 2. Mariota ran away with that, and he deserved a lot of accolades. Melvin Gordon had maybe the greatest running back season, one of the 2 or 3 greatest running back seasons in the history of college football. And Amari Cooper had more first place votes and second place votes than Melvin Gordon, if I remember correctly. So it wasn't that Mariota won. It was that Melvin wasn't as close in that voting as he should have been. He was an afterthought, and his season does not deserve afterthought status, period. Gary Smack says, David Gilreath from the 3. That's a great one, right? Yes, I was working at ESPN when that happened. Where are you when we beat Ohio State? How many of y'all were in the stadium? How many y'all were in a bar celebrating, seeing Gilreath take it from the 3 to the house call? Check this out, guys, because I know this is kind of the community show. It's a little unscripted. We have our Christmas giveaway show coming up. I have got these cup holder, or these koozies, not koozies, sorry. These coasters. Thank you. Jeez, I couldn't think of the word. And they have like great former Badger plays on it. This is the David Gilreath kick return, right? They've got Rose Bowl plays. They've got the fumble from Purdue. So those will be given away. But yeah, that was an iconic play for sure. A couple more here. Pete says, I don't hire search committees. Search committees hire me. Again, that's Barry Alvarez just being an absolute OG. When they were looking for the new head coach and someone had asked him, hey, did you consult the search committee? Barry Alvarez just kind of, like a mobster, said, no, search committees hire me. A couple more here. This one, I don't know. Maybe I should. Maybe Tom Kurtz, he just put the name Steve Nelt in there. Is that one I need to know? Am I crazy for not knowing that one? Somebody in the chat help me out with that one. John Berg said, give me the veer, or give the veer time. Again, a little before my time, but that was the Don Morton experiment, correct? Someone correct me if I'm wrong there. And then Badger Hughes says Camp Randall West. When Wisconsin finally got to the Rose Bowl, all the Badger fans kind of taking over that area. Yeah, absolutely iconic. Somebody let me know who Steve Nelt is and why I'm an idiot for not knowing that one. And then I'll get a bunch more of your comments here. Bo Ryan, we got a couple more. It touched Winslow's finger. Smo, yes. Winslow touched it. Yes, absolutely. A couple more with Estave Niels. Timothy Palm, block punt versus the Gophers. That's a really, really good one. Melvin should have won. Robert Sorensen, karma. That's a good one. That's a good poll. When Bert, when Bert left and his wife, I kind of tweeted the karma sign after Wisconsin lost the game. And then Bert got fired like 2 years later. That's a really good poll. Let's see what else we got in here. Another one for the Veer. Timothy Palm, the 70-31 Big Ten title game versus Nebraska. That was that's not the biggest win, obviously. It's not the most important win. That was one of the most enjoyable wins as a fan just watching it. Because, listen, Nebraska was favored. That wasn't a great Wisconsin team that year. They kind of limped into the game. And then they just demolished them. Nebraska was considered a relatively safe favorite in that game. And Wisconsin just mollywopped them. They put them in the torpedo tubes and shot them at a ship. It was awesome. And there's so many clips from that game, from the stiff arm, from James White, from the different formations, from Monte. It was such a fun game, right? That defense balling out, early interceptions. Absolutely, absolutely awesome. A couple here, 17 years old, Mr. October, Smo, and White Marlin, Braylon Allen. How many times did you hear that? Yeah, some really, really good ones in here. And again, it's kind of fun just to talk about those little things that every Badger fan knows or most Badger fans know, and we just don't. I'm sorry, gosh, I'm sorry, I got lost. That other people don't. It's kind of what connects us. It's that common thread inside our community here. Couple more here. 1993 from Brian Axis. Why not Wisconsin? This is a good one. Jackson Taylor. If you remember at the end of that LSU game, LSU is in Lambeau, and we get the final pick to win the game. Dakota Dixon and that giant offensive lineman just depletes him. I don't know if you guys remember that. Just absolutely depleted him. Got the penalty. I was worried to death he got seriously hurt on that play. That's a really good one. Evan Gabriel says he was there for that game. I was there for that game. I had a ton of fun. Hooger, Michael Caputo transfers to Alabama mid-game. Yeah, I don't want to laugh about it, but that one is wild. I think he was tackling. It was Derrick Henry, right? Derrick Henry got the handoff, run up the middle. Michael Caputo, listen, Derrick Henry's like a tank, but Michael Caputo wasn't a small dude. Michael Caputo met him and then tried to go to Alabama, tried to huddle with the Alabama offense. That was scary stuff. The QB sneak with Stocco. That's another great one. Dude, there's so many good ones. You have the ham bone with Bo Ryan. If we're just thinking out loud, you have the ham bone with Bo Ryan. You have that Michael Flowers game against Texas. There's so many good ones. All right, we got to take one more quick break, and then we'll come back with any other comments you want to talk about. I want to hit up a couple basketball things and why I think we might see something different against Detroit Mercy coming up this weekend. Something to keep your eye on. That's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. As always, let's take a quick break for our friends of the show. And also, I didn't see anybody in the chat tell me who Stave Knelt. I am so dumb. I get it now. Sorry. I thought that was like a name. I am an idiot. Okay. Let's move on. Let's talk basketball. We're going to take a quick second for our friends of the show over at Locked On Badgers. Today's friends of the show listen, it's that time of the week, time of the year. We finally saw the first playoff game. We saw Indiana today. Today's episode is brought to you by the College Football Playoffs. They're back in with a newly expanded 12-team playoff. It's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hardest hitting action and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT Sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff Kickoff Show presented by AT&T. 11 a.m. Eastern, leading into our first matchup. Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. All right, let's talk some hoops for a second and get whatever comments that you guys want to throw up here. Again, this is the community show, whichever way we want to go it. Let's see, a couple more thoughts in here. A bunch of people laughing, dude. I seriously read that comment from Tom Kurtz as some name that I didn't know. I have no idea. I am literally the dumbest person on the planet. All right, let's talk hoops. So a couple things I want to talk about quick with hoops, and I just want to turn over to whatever comments y'all got. Whatever comments, whatever you're thinking. What's your confidence level in football? Are you destroyed by the portal? What are you more confident right now going forward, football or basketball? I want to get all of that stuff. Here's 3 quick thoughts on basketball that I wanted to hit on because we've done so much football content lately. We've had so many portal guys come in, go out. We've been done so much of what the depth chart looks like. And basketball's just been on this kind of hiatus. If you're a mariner, you go into harbors to ride out storms, it feels like football's in this portal storm where everything's kind of chaotic. And basketball's just kind of been in the harbor, right? They've been restocking the ship and we haven't really talked about it. A couple big thoughts from me. Going into this weekend, Detroit Mercy, the biggest one for me is what are you going to see from Stephen Crowell? Because you saw him respond last week, but that was never the problem. There was never the problem if you could get one game out of Crowell. It's always, can you get consistent out of Crowell? Are we going to get another one? And if you start getting another one and then another one, maybe you start to think, man, Greg Gard might have that kick in the butt he kind of gave him verbally in the media about how can you not get a rebound? Maybe it took a little bit of hold. It's imperative that you get a good Stephen Crowell game to build off the last one. Otherwise, it's just a one-off. So that one's super important to me. Here's the other one. So the Badgers had a long time off from their Butler game to this game, and then they'll have another long time off until they play their next game, which is Iowa. They'll have another week and a half off or so. This is the time when you have these 2 long gaps where it's really hard in the season if you're playing 2 or 3 games in a week to change things, to adjust a player's rotation, to adjust something that he's doing. You could do it now. this is a game against Detroit Mercy, who's not a great team. They're coming off a loss to Dayton by like 20 points. They're okay-ish. They're like five. I think they've got 5 wins. But this is a spot where I'm curious if they've done something different with Amos's playing time. I'm curious if you were to see a few minutes from a Daniel Freitag, this would be a game where you'd start to see it, to see if it could work. If you were to see a different type of rotation, if a crowd were to struggle, maybe that's Ilver or Greppy. Like, they've had a big chunk of time to evaluate what they did in that first stretch of games. If they make any changes, you're going to see it in this game. If they adjust any playing time, any rotations, any schematical things, Greg Gard has been messing with the zone a little bit. If you see a little bit more of that, I'm going to be very interested if we see some type of change coming out of this extended break of practice, and then you're going to have another extended break. So this is kind of a one-off to try something. Gard's not the type of guy, and I don't think it's a good thing to mix a bunch of stuff up early in the season, but he's also shown some adaptability this year or last year. I'm curious if you see something different, either from a playing time standpoint or rotation standpoint. And please, for the love of goodness gracious, Steven Crowell, give us heart. Give us angry Steven. All right, what are your thoughts here? And we're just going to finish up at this. Steve, finish. And when I say finish up at this, it's literally finish up with whatever comments y'all got. Ryan Arnold, more minutes for Janicki. I think he's got to play more. I agree. I don't have it pulled up how many minutes per game he's actually getting, and I don't want to do that in the middle of the show because I'm going to lose my train of thought, and that's just not good for radio. But it feels like he should be closer to 15 minutes a game, in that range. His ability to move the ball is really impressive. He plays hard, has a good feel. He can shoot the ball, but he's also tough. He'll get in there, fight for a rebound. He'll take a charge. Pretty good on defense as well. He can stay in front of somebody. He'll rotate to the help side pretty easily. I like his game. He's the type of guy on a good team who fills that glue role. And that's a really important thing. I mean, he's not Tony Kukoc, but he's that type of versatile piece for a really good team that can fit into a lot of different roles. So I like him. Cannon says, hand Amos the keys. Let him cook. I don't know, man. I know you're higher on him than I am, which is cool. I could be wrong. I think they almost need to simplify for him, is what I've been saying. Like, just shoot, pass, rebound, play hard defense. I don't really want him dribbling, but that's just me. Jackson Taylor, when does Freitag get a chance? Like, this is what I'm saying with the Detroit Mercy game. If it's not for Detroit Mercy, when they've had a week to kind of reevaluate stuff, and then they have another week before Iowa, it's not going to be in the middle of the Big Ten, in my opinion. That's when rotation's tight. They don't expand in the Big Ten. Now, injuries can happen, foul stuff can happen, things can happen, but the rotation doesn't typically get more open when you get into conference here. So if you don't see it against Detroit Mercy, I don't know if you're going to see it, man. Just my take on it. Will Hanna, the big 13-year Steve Carell, almost blocked a shot. Listen, blocking shots isn't his game. That's not his cup of tea. He's a passer, like a little finesse guy around the rim, but he was aggressive. Like he tried to score, he hit a big three, got to the glass a little bit more. You just need the effort. You need the care factor with him. And if you do that, you get solid basketball, and it helps everybody else a ton. Like, it's so important that they get decent production there, because then you don't have to completely depend on Nolan Winter. You get a little more spacing because teams collapse on him a little bit more. It's just such an important thing. Pedro, Nolan Winter ascension. Yeah, he looked really good last week. He's been getting progressively better every game, really. And you're starting to see what he can become now. It's going to be super interesting next year. Now, I know we're not there, but I'm really curious where his future ultimately lies. But he's been definitely getting better. Definitely getting better. A couple more here. Add your speed again. Talking about some of those moments as Badger fans. JJ Watt, the Ohio State legacy game. Evan Gabriel, this is a great one. Nick Davis could catch BBs in the dark. That's a great quote. Absolutely love that quote. A couple more here. Let's finish it off. Any other thoughts you guys got? Cannon says it was a joke. I just want him to play more. Let him shoot. Yeah, I'm there with you, man. Like, I want him to shoot. Talking about Xavier Amos now. Amos is a really good shooter. I think he's trying to do too much. And I think what happens with players, he came in with a decent amount of hype, a decent amount of expectation. He played a lot. Last couple years, he played a lot. And now he's coming in and it's not clicking. And I think he's pressing, right? He's a pitcher who's trying to overthrow his fastball a little bit. Instead of just focusing on the things he can control, space the floor, hit open shots, let me really bust my butt getting 2 extra rebounds a game. Instead of focusing on those things, he's trying to dribble in and make plays, and it's moving too quick for him. And then that compounds itself, right? When you trying to do too much, Every mistake feels like a ton of bricks. It feels like the spotlight's on you. You start looking over at the bench to get pulled out. So I think they just need to simplify it. And even if you simplify his role, and a stretch shooting 4 is still a really big asset. It's okay if you're not breaking people down off the dribble. Bang a couple threes and let's build that rhythm up. Let's see, a couple more thoughts here. Steve Kneebone says, I like what Winter is doing. I agree. Ryan Arnold, Angry Steve is good. You need that every game. Yeah. Angry Steve is a solid Big Ten starting center. That's incredibly valuable. Incredibly valuable. Timothy Palm, Crowell needs a crazy girlfriend that pisses him off before every game. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to work or not. I don't think it worked for some previous big men we've had. Manhattan Project 9 says, hey, Ryan, what type of qualities do you want to see in our next quarterback coach? This is a great question. And I think we'll be getting some stuff coming out on quarterback coach soon. Here's a talent acquisition is the most important thing. And especially when you have an offensive coordinator that is going to install a system and a scheme. You have Grimes here to install the system, to build around the offense line, to build around the running backs. You need a quarterback coach who is young, who has some cachet, and who can recruit and lure talent more than just about anything else. You got to be able to coach them up, but you got to have a guy who can get talented, athletic quarterbacks on campus. So I think you start with that. And then somebody who's going to mesh with Grimes. So who is that? Maybe somebody that has connections with Luke Fickell would be great, just so there's not a culture surprise there. But I'm looking for somebody who will fit into the culture, who can recruit well, who's younger, and who can mesh with Grimes. And I think we're going to hear something pretty soon there. Steve Kneebone, McGee will be key when Big Ten play starts. I love him, man. He's been so good. Ryan, here we go. Ryan Arnold, Pribula to Iowa is not good for us. Yeah. Has that happened? Is that official? Somebody let me know in chats. I don't even know. I know he was visiting them, and he was visiting another school, like an SEC school, I think. That'd be a good get for them. No shade. I like him. I like that we found somebody that has experience, but I like Pribula, Bo Pribula, the Penn State decommit that crushed us. I like him. All right, we'll wrap it up there. Y'all are awesome, amazing as always. Thank you so much for this community. We are doing a community giveaway show coming up. It's the Christmas show. I do it every year, and it's just literally a way to give away stuff to you guys to say thank you for supporting the channel. It's all free. Shipping's free. We got a Melvin Gordon signed full-size helmet this year, a Joe Thomas signed picture. We got those amazing coasters I got, a couple more signed helmets, some bobbleheads. Like, it's good stuff. We got a really cool Bo Ryan signed picture that's authenticated. So yeah, look forward to that. When I get everything shipped to me, I'll put a date out there. You guys are amazing. On Wisconsin. Have a great weekend, and we will talk later.